speaking about Pitt being in the Big 12, it reminds me, Jason, you've been at the forefront of a lot of realignment news, I know, on Twitter. If y'all had to pick next teams coming into the Big 12, who would you really love to see?
To me, it's the three that probably your Mark wants. Like, I think the Big 12, if they somehow found a way to add a Clemson, FSU, and Miami, that would be awesome. And it's a long way off from even being possible. There's so much to go through. But I think that as much as I enjoy the Big 12, getting a national brand, I think, is kind of the next step.
Can you imagine this conference having 3 schools, 3 members in Florida and 4 in Texas? Huge recruiting bases. I mean, that's something I think the conference has got to really consider. But I'd probably add maybe Louisville to that grouping just because they've almost been in the Big 12. They should have been in the Big 12 if Texas hadn't blocked it. But I'm also a fan of NC State. It's a really good athletic department. I think that's a Big 12 institution at heart. And I don't know what they're going to do. I really don't. If the ACC does come apart, I'm not sure how the Big 10 and SEC will respond. And, of course, in the pecking order, they get first dibs. So we might find out who they really want.
Yeah. I think NC State and Virginia Tech especially both feel like Big 12 schools.
I agree.
Right? They both have that vibe to them. What do y'all think, though, about the recent rumblings with UConn? Is that something that you're buying or selling?
It's tough because your Mark wants UConn badly. Wants that market, the basketball market especially. I mean, adding UConn to Big 12 in basketball would be unreal. The problem is football just doesn't make enough. And so he hasn't been able to sell the other ADs and presidents on adding UConn because of that. And I kind of get why. Like, football, UConn does nothing for anybody. But, man, as a basketball fan, especially in a school I cover, Arizona basketball, having UConn in the conference would be awesome. But I totally get why the other presidents and ADs are hesitant.
Go ahead, Tim. Go ahead.
I think UConn will eventually be in the conference unless they're invited somewhere else. You're right. Jason's right. Brett Yormark wants it, and he's probably going to get it. But the problem with adding them now, even if it's not for football, you still have to dip into your own pocket to pay them whatever their revenue, non-football revenue cut will be. And I think that's the biggest thing that the presidents and ADs are looking at right now. We don't know where this House litigation is going to land in terms of how much money is coming out of everyone's pocket. So $1 million a year in the scope of a big budget may not seem that much, but boy, when you're having to scrape another $20 million to pay your student athletes, it's enormous. So I think that the presidents and ADs probably said, just hold off until we get the new contract, where if you can get a breakout basketball contract, adding UConn makes all the sense in the world. I heard a great cut of Brett Yormark estimating that while the basketball payout now is about 10% of the contract, they believe it should be 30%, and that's how they can close part of the gap and get even more money if they really land some great basketball institutions, and UConn's about as good as it gets.
Yeah. My question, though, would be how much more realistically, I mean, the Big 12 is already, I would say, easily the best basketball conference in the nation. There's so many huge basketball brands like Arizona, like Kansas, and a lot more teams that are playing really great basketball right now. How much more realistically even if you do add a UConn, who's a back-to-back NCAA champion, how much more realistically does that raise the valuation? I mean, it feels like there's kind of a ceiling with the money that you can make from basketball. Am I wrong in thinking that?
No, I think you are wrong. I think we haven't even come close to where the ceiling is. And what college athletics really needs is they need another partner to really come aggressively into the space, whether it's Turner or someone else. Because right now we got a shell game between ESPN and Fox, and NBC and CBS. Now the CW got their toes in there, but we really need someone coming in. And I suspect with Brett Yormark's ties to the NBA, it's Turner he's talking to about taking over the Big 12 basketball contract, which is interesting. If they stay part of the NCAA tournament programming, it makes a lot of sense to try to move basketball onto a platform like that and really have a big stage for the best basketball conference. I think it'd be fun. Think about those games at the start of the year where you match up like, North Carolina against Kansas. Well, you're going to have UConn and Arizona in the conference. I mean, it just feels like you're playing, just incredible matchups every weekend. You're going to have one game that is going to be over the top cool.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. I will say this: there's an uncomfortable amount of SMU love in the chat for my liking. No, we do not want SMU in the conference. Nobody.
No, please stop.
Yes, cease and desist.